Hello everyone, this is Aegon of Astora, and welcome back to my caster build playthrough of Dark Souls Remastered. This is episode number 16, being recorded on Monday the 30th of July. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, whenever it is you find yourself watching this. I was just remarking on how nice it is to have, notwithstanding the snores of Kingseeker Frant, how nice it is that we have such a full house here at Firelink. So, I am hesitant to advance the dialogue of several of the NPCs just in the interest of making sure that, yeah, we have some company here in the meantime to just hang out before we set them on their merry way to the next steps of their questline. So, there is one NPC that we're going to want to talk to en route to our destination, and that is Domhnall of Zena. So, let's go do that now. And our destination, really no secret for those of you watching on YouTube, seeing as it's in the title of the episode, destination is the Undead Burg. Because earlier in the playthrough, you'll recall that we used the it's an awkward beach party at Firelink, yeah. Earlier in the playthrough, you might recall that we used the master key to bypass the Undead Burg, and we went straight to the Undead Parish. So we're going to address that now by actually going through the Undead Burg. I was about to say, provided that we make this jump and don't die on the way. Which may still happen on the way back, but let's see. Got a ring of sacrifice here. Aye, Shemai.
Aye, Shemai. I didn't expect to meet anybody here. I suppose great minds think alike, eh?
I guess so.
I'm afraid I don't see anything here.
So yeah, so he is the worst in terms of... I'm not even really sure what his dialogue triggers are, other than you need to spend souls in order to hear what he has to say. Although, if you pester him enough, sometimes he will offer a nugget or two in exchange for what he calls, or, you know, he says that, I'm sure we'll make a good trade someday, so here's some information. So let's see.
I'm afraid I don't see anything here.
Unless maybe we exhausted that possibility when we spoke with him in the depths. So he's a very curious character in that he sells a couple of gold pine resins. He also sells the master key, which of course we used as our starting gift in order so that we might skip. It wasn't the main reason we did it, but the master key allowed us to skip the Undead Burg initially. And we really have no reason to go back other than for completionist's sake, so that's what we're going to do anyway. This universal key opens any basic lock, tool of the trade for thieves, but in the cursed land of the undead, most doors are better left unopened. Then he also has a bunch of crystal stuff, suggesting perhaps that he's been to the Duke's Archives. He has a bunch of standard arrows and bolts. He told me about the catacombs when I was in the depths. Interesting. He also has his set, as well as the sets of several other bosses that we fought up to this point. So we did buy some gold pine resins. Let's see if he has anything else to say.
Well, I'm certain we will make a good trade eventually. So I am willing to share some tips. The cursed ghosts of New Londo are formidable foes. To face them, you will require special arms, or a cursed body. The quickest way to be cursed? Try the bug-eyed lizards in the sewer. Desperate measures, to be sure.
So, that's very interesting in that, like... Yes, he's a character in the world, but it's almost like they use Domhnall to speak directly to the player with gameplay tips. Similar to how with Andre gives you gameplay tips in terms of this is how you upgrade a weapon, this is how you do this, that, the other. I can only upgrade to a certain point, and then I'll need a special ember. And that makes sense as a blacksmith, but in the case of Domhnall of Zena, he's seemingly everywhere in the game, all at once, and getting all these armor sets, and having all this information, that I'm not really sure if he can be made sense of within the narrative of the game and the game world itself.
You are a fine trading partner. Rumor it may be, but I have heard of a surviving ancient dragon who resides in this land. A coterie of undead serves the dragon, as they train to become dragons themselves. Sounds unlikely, but you never know, do you?
So he's referring there, of course, to Ash Lake. Yeah, I don't know if much can be said about Domhnall as a character. Yeah, me neither. Beyond the item descriptions of the stuff that he has, but even that doesn't really give us much to work with.
I'm afraid I don't see anything here. Thank you. That was a fine trade. I have this funny feeling we'll meet again soon. And we'll make another fine trade, of course.
And Zena's never further elaborated on in the series, so he really is a one-off, an enigma. Think he is like, for me, a cheat sheet if you really have no idea to deal with enemies or little secrets here and there. Yeah, maybe. That wouldn't be that far off, I don't think. Certainly not with how he acts. And we have already read the item descriptions for a set, but we haven't read the others yet. Golem Helm, head of the Iron Golem, guardian of the ancient Sen's fortress, slayer of heroes who ventured forth to enter Londo. Without its core, it is a mere hunk of iron and can be equipped as solid protective gear, but its immense weight hinders stamina recovery. And then we also have Ornstein's set, because we defeated Ornstein second. Armor of the Dragonslayer Ornstein, who guards the cathedral in the Forsaken City of Anor Londo. Ornstein is believed to be the captain of the Four Knights. His Golden Lion armor is imbued with the power of lightning, and should provide good protection against it. Is he a reference to something else? Usually with characters like that, they're a reference to a previous FromSoft game or another series. That would be a question for Theomany, I think. So we also have Artorias' set. Armor of Artorias, the Abyss Walker, one of Gwyn's Four Knights. The death of the armor's owner can be surmised from the corrosive dark of the Abyss and the tattered azure blue cape, once a symbol of pride and glory. The helmet basically says the same thing, but it refers to a musty azure blue tassel. The armor, the chest piece, refers to tattered azure blue cape. And the gauntlets say that the death of their owner can be surmised from the corrosive dark of the Abyss, which has compromised their protective utility. I wonder if he's deliberately made to stand out because his armor is so heavily modeled after a real helmet, kind of like FromSoft's way of saying, this guy doesn't fit in and we know. Yeah, someone has posted in an earlier episode to the channel, and I can't remember which series it was, but someone posted a link showing pretty much the exact helmet that he's wearing. So it's almost like, yeah, not only does he loot armor from the various bosses in the game that you've defeated, but also from real life things, which is kind of strange. Okay, so I guess we didn't really need to buy anything from him anyway, but
I'm afraid
alright, well, let's buy one thing and then see if he gives us anything to go by. We'll buy his helmet.
I'm afraid I don't see anything here.
Okay, maybe we met our quota of tips already. Yeah, so maybe as Vodka Foley notes in the chat that, you know, it is obviously a reference to a real thing. And you can see right here, it's got like a nice dagger in the chest piece, all sorts of gold coins. So it's a mishmash of things, which perhaps suggests, again, that maybe it's FromSoft just conceding that this guy, you know, you're not really going to be able to make any sense of him, because he not only loots real world things like his helmet, but also in the game he loots things as well. And the mask, it does look a little bit like the mask worn by the angelic knights, the large angelic knights in Dark Souls 3, whose names I've since forgotten, but most notably the mouthpiece. Henry VIII, he's the first Fashion Souls man, yeah. Oh, actually, so some other things that we picked up in earlier episodes, but we've yet to read the item descriptions for. And we are at that point once again where we need to organize our inventory. But we did get a Black Knight halberd dropped from one of the Black Knights we defeated in an earlier episode. Halberd of the Black Knights who wander Lordran, used to face chaos demons. The large motion that puts the weight of the body into the attack reflects the great size of their adversaries long ago. So we got that from the Black Knight who dropped it in the Tomb of the Giants. And we've also picked up 2 Lord Souls. In the previous episode, we got the Bequeathed Lord Soul Shard from the 4 Kings. Soul of one of the 4 Kings who fell to dark. A fragment of a Lord Soul discovered at the dawn of the Age of Fire. Lord Gwyn recognized the foresight of these 4 great leaders of New Londo, and granted them their ranks and the fragments of a great soul. Although this is not a full Lord Soul, it can still satiate the Lord Vessel. In episode 13, we picked up the Lord Soul from Gravelord Nito, so whereas the 4 Kings were bequeathed a Lord Soul Shard, so in other words, given one after the death of someone, so after the death of Lord Gwyn, quote-unquote death, in scare quotes. So whereas the 4 Kings have simply a shard of a Lord Soul, Gravelord Nito has their own Lord Soul. Soul of Gravelord Nito, first of the dead. This Lord Soul was discovered at the dawn of the Age of Fire. Gravelord Nito administers the death of all manner of beings. The power of this soul is so great that it satiates the Lord Vessel, despite the fact that much of its energy has already been offered to death. And I think that's it in terms of the item descriptions we needed to get caught up on. Okay, friend, I'll see you later. I hate this jump back so much. I really do. Thank gosh. Okay, so now we're off to the Undead Burg. And you'll note that earlier in the series when we were... You're not alone, Green Fairy. You'll note that earlier in the series when we went to the Undead Parish, there was no Hellkite Drake. So, in other words, by not taking this entrance into the Undead Burg, the Hellkite Drake doesn't spawn at all. But the entrance that we're about to see, that is the moment, as soon as you pass that threshold, when you see the Hellkite Drake launching off of the walkway, then that's when you know the Hellkite Drake has spawned, and that you'll see it later at the bridge which connects the Undead Burg to the Undead Parish. So through there we can go see the female Undead Merchant, but when we go up here... find the Undead Burg. And you can already see some of the traps that await us, but thankfully, because we waited so long to come here, we are, you might say, over-equipped to deal with all the nonsense here. That otherwise, in the beginning of the game, especially if you're a beginner at the game, might cause you trouble. And it's been a while since I've even taken this route. I believe that's a shortcut exit there. So you will all have to forgive me if I completely forget where we're supposed to go. So you can go through the fog gate there, but you can also take this route here, which we're going to do. I think this is just the soul of a lost undead or something. And over here is a dead end. I don't remember quite what the deal with that was. I'm curious because this is something that I've never looked up. But let's see, what is the definition of burg? An ancient or medieval fortress or walled town. So I guess not unlike the undead settlement, this is a place where undead were stuck. And this is, I believe, rubbish. Well worthwhile dealing with the ambush for that. Although I do genuinely mean that, because you can trade it for a Titanite chunk later, even though right now it just seems like it's complete trash. I think a guy was hiding in the dead end, but he's sprinting off to get to you now. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think you're right about that, actually. And so here, you can make a leap of faith, I believe, to skip into the lower Undead Burg. But I can't remember exactly how that works. Kind of reminds me of Old Town Edinburgh. I can't even say that. Edinburgh. My mom would kick my butt in the old times. Edinburgh. Edinburgh? I'm sorry, everyone. Soul of the Lost Undead. I don't know if the Undead Settlement and Undead Burg have the same subtext, with undead being confined. In the settlement, there were obvious signs of undead being persecuted. Yeah, that's an excellent point. In Let's Talk Lore, I compared the Undead Settlement to a reservation where indigenous people were confined, whereas I described the Undead Burg just now as being somewhat akin to that. But I guess just in the sense that, for whatever reason, this is a military fortification that is populated by undead. I can't remember if you can get up there. For some reason, I think you can't. Or that you're supposed to get there from elsewhere. Yeah. Oh, hi, Allison. Thank you for the reminder. Again, it's been years. So we just spawned the Hellkite Drake. Which, normally in the beginning of the game, I don't like to do that because it's a pain in the rear to deal with, but we are at the point in the game now where dealing with that is not a problem whatsoever, so that's okay. So before we rest at the bonfire, let's go down this way. So I'm going to assume that they called this place the Undead Burg because maybe a better comparison for this place would be the High Wall of Lothric. And it does seem as though that in Dark Souls 3, they were trying to draw parallels between the High Wall of Lothric and the Undead Burg. Although it could be argued that Boletarian Palace is a closer analog to the Undead Burg. So I think, yeah, it's possible that FromSoft was trying to, with Dark Souls 3, make us think about the Undead Burg in addition to Boletarian Palace, because the Boletarian Palace is obviously what they're referencing for the most part with Lothric Castle and the High Wall of Lothric, but oh, this is where. Thank you, Allison. I guess we're max on throwing knives. I can't believe I'd forgotten about that. Oh, yes. Now I remember this. Okay. Yeah, it's been so long since I've done the Undead Burg in, like, the normal direction. I do seem to recall that people were dropping their Gravelord signs up here and not going through the fog gate as a way of ensuring that people, or not dropping their Gravelord signs, but camping up here while Gravelording other players so that, you know, most players wouldn't necessarily know to come look up here for the sign. Yeah, there's really no meaningful reason to kill the Hellkite Drake whatsoever, but I did want to do it for the benefit of all of those who, you know, are watching this expecting it to be a 100% playthrough. Even though I did say it wouldn't be, I did mention that it would be close to it. Helm worn by hollow warriors. Although it is made of iron, it is old, battered, and worn out. It is wise to wear a sturdy form of head protection against arrows and other physical threats. Well, there's really no reason for me to be getting revenge against the Hellkite Drake because we hadn't spawned the Drake until now, so it hasn't really done anything to us. Here we have the wooden shield. Vertically elongated wooden shield decorated with a white dragon. Wood shields are lighter than metal shields, but with lower physical damage reduction and reduced shield stability. I always use the dragon to kill the hollows on the bridge. That's what I did when I first started as well. I remember doing that for like an hour to get easy souls when I was really, really struggling with the game early on. Actually, this would be a good place, I think, for us to try out Undead Rapport. Because we've yet to do that. So let's see how this works. Oh, that's terrible. Get him, friend! No! That's incredible. Get him! Get him! No, that's a terrible shot. Yes! Yes! This friend's been hitting the vape a little bit too hard. He totally becomes a sniper. Oh, now he's back to normal. Oh my gosh. Should we just keep standing here? It's the first time I've really got a close-up look at this guy, and yeah, it's pretty frightening. You can see his eyeballs glowing. Oh, he already got one of them. Wow. Where are you shooting now? Oh. Oh, he's not on our side anymore. Okay, back to the square. No, Samuel, I was using Undead Rapport. the item description for which reads... Advanced Pyromancy of Quelana of Izalith. Charm undead and gain temporary allies. The living are lured by flame, and this relationship is part and parcel to the art of pyromancy. Can be used by either gender. Is that just holdover flavor text from Demon Souls? When certain armor sets couldn't be used by men and vice versa? Because that is really curious. Or is that meant to be a hint at what we learn in Dark Souls 3 about pyromancy, that there are certain pyromancies that can only be taught by women? Isn't it such a weird thing to put in? I don't think we read this earlier, otherwise I'm sure I would have mentioned it, because that is really curious. Because there's no pyromancies that can't be used by men or women. And yeah, we know the whole thing about, you know, about the Daughters of Chaos and the Witches of Izalith being predominantly female, with the exception, I think, of Ceaseless Discharge. Is it in other descriptions? That's the only one that I can see. Seems like it's referring to a charm aspect, like, even if you're not a lady, you can still charm this guy. Yeah, maybe. Even if we consider Cornyx not teaching lady pyromancies, that's likely only a cultural thing, since you can still learn the same pyromancies even if you're a dude. Yeah, Cornyx can't teach you pyromancies from the Quelana Izalith, or the Quelana tome? I can't remember exactly what it was called. Yeah, that is really quite curious. I'm quite enjoying this Undead Rapport thing. Because this guy does not mess around. He's totally using an aimbot. Carla teaches Undead Rapport in Dark Souls 3. Is it just a spell that she has on her person, or do you have to give her a tome first? I don't remember that. Hollow Soldier Armor. Armor worn by hollow soldiers. It may be old and battered, but its iron construction makes it quite sturdy. So based on the item descriptions, it would seem that the undead here were indeed once soldiers of some description, and not soldiers who are anything to shake a stick at, just based on the fact that they have this armor that, even though it is old and tattered and beaten up, it still provides decent protection. So, despite what I said earlier in comparing this place to the Undead Settlement, these are hollows that were at one point quite well outfitted for battle. Whereas in the Undead Settlement, we see hollows walking around with plows and or maybe not plows, pitchforks and all sorts of other makeshift implements that don't really suggest that they were trained to be soldiers, but more that they were placed there against their own will, and the inmates have started to run the asylum, so to speak. In Dark Souls 3, Carla teaches it after giving the Quelana tome. Okay, that's what I figured. Because, yeah, if you give it to Cornyx, he says that only a woman can teach you those spells. And then he jokingly says, if only I were a woman, ha ha ha. So my first few times playing this, I would always neglect to take out this crossbow archer here. We might as well make use of his prolific crossbow skills. Yes! No. Yes! Oh no, friend, you're hitting the wall. Oh, gosh darn it. Maybe they wanted to have more overt gender comments, but the publisher told them no. It's just really weird, because I don't know that there were any other item descriptions that mention gender in Dark Souls 1. Except maybe for the Thief set, because the appearance of the headpiece changes depending on whether you have a male or female player character. The fact that they're using iron armor is making my historian side squint real hard, because iron is heavy-ass metal to put on people. So you wouldn't expect that soldiers in this situation would be given iron armor just because they're fortifying a place. They're not... I don't know. I don't know anything about any of that stuff, so that's just me speculating. So we got gold pine resin here. And a trap normally waiting for us up there, but we might have triggered that trap earlier by accident. Nope, there it is. Tried to roll through it and failed miserably. Be wary of tough enemy. Indeed. Ivory Talisman, medium for casting miracles of the gods. Ivory Talismans are granted only to female clerics, and their value is affected dramatically by their owner's faith. Okay, so that is one thing, but I don't know that there are any that specifically have this line. Can be used by either gender. I'm going to assume that Undead Rapport does not work on the Black Knight. No. I didn't think we'd one-shot him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have backstabbed them, but... Here we get the blue Tearstone Ring and another view of the lower Undead Burg. Blue Tearstone Ring. The rare gem called Tearstone has the uncanny ability to sense imminent death. This blue Tearstone from Katarina boosts the defense of its wearer when in danger. So the red Tearstone is from Karim, and the blue Tearstone is from Katarina, which is interesting. Black Knight Chen is immune to your womanly charms, unfortunately. And this is, I believe, a dead end. And I'm not really sure why it's here. Except maybe to hint to the player that parts of this structure are no longer here. That it used to be larger. But again, not really sure. Because it doesn't look like they're trying to get us to look at an abyss or anything, although... I do wonder what that's supposed to be down there. I'm gonna say that that is maybe the Valley of Drakes? Because that looks like the bridge that we take from the Valley of Drakes over to New Londo Ruins, yeah. And of course you can't see any of the enemies down there, but... Well, thank you, Axis Cambria. It's a dead end so that players can leave try jumping messages. So I know that that was said half in jest, but indeed, the text of the Orange Guidance Soapstone does say that in Lordran the flow of time is distorted and messages allow undead to assist or deceive one another. So that's very much built into how it is that FromSoft wants players to use the Orange Soapstone. So this is a door that you can open with either the Master Key or the Watchtower Basement Key. Key to the basement of the Watchtower in the Undead Burg. The basement of the Watchtower forms a stone cell. There are rumors of a hero turned hollow who is locked away by a dear friend, for his own good, of course. So let's go say hello to Havel. So we received the key to this place, even though we could have just used the Master Key. We did receive the key to this tower by defeating the Moonlight Butterfly in Darkroot Basin. Oh, way too early there. The same goes for me, Pacino. I used to struggle mightily with Havel. I got really good at defeating Havel when being summoned by players who weren't ready to take on Havel themselves and just sort of wanted me to do all the work, which annoyed me at first, but then I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it, whatever. And I got a lot better at, yeah, backstab fishing and parrying. Havel's Ring. This ring was named after Havel the Rock, Lord Gwyn's old battlefield compatriot. Havel's men wore the ring to express faith in their leader and to carry a heavier load. So, the mention of Havel's men is used, or has been used by people, to suggest that that is not Havel himself. I'm inclined to believe that it is Havel himself, but I can see how you could go in either direction on that. And once again, we received this key for defeating the Moonlight Butterfly in Darkroot Basin, and so unsurprisingly, we can enter from Darkroot Basin, but if you do that, then Havel will be right here, and if you're not expecting him, he'll probably smash you in the face with a dragon tooth. So that's pretty much the Undead Burg. There's a crystal lizard somewhere here. There it is. And the tower doesn't go any further up. I'm not sure how we're gonna deal with this. But I do have an idea. I have not seen that, no, Zuren. One more. Come on. Oh no, that's too much. Gosh darn it. Okay. We're trying to get it just above red tearstone mode. One more hit. There we go. Thank you. Yep. Pretty sure the red tear stone was overkill there, but whatever. Oh, well, thank you, Axis Cambria. Let me have a look. So this is courtesy of Axis Cambria. This is the map of the game world. So this is the kiln. Oh, crud. You're not going to be able to see my mouse pointer. This is the kiln of the first flame right here. I know that. This bronze structure, I have no idea what that is. Is that the... I probably should have spent some time looking at this before putting it up on the stream. This is the painted world right here. The red one. And this right here, the red one here, this is the Duke's Archives and the Crystal Caves. Purple one is Anor Londo. The green, I'm going to say that that is Northern Undead Asylum? I'm not entirely sure how this all fits together. But yeah, so this is, I think, an apt demonstration of what we were talking about previously, about how the game world doesn't fit together as well as it's made to appear as though it fits together. Because otherwise I would technically be able to figure this out, but purple is definitely actually... Oh yeah. Thank you for that, Axis Cambria. So yeah, so even though like it does fit together pretty well, it's not nearly as good as it's made to appear as though it fits together. But that's not something we didn't already know. But very interesting to sort of actually see it. So this is, of course, where we first spoke with Solaire, but he's not here. Hello, Rolling Ewok. But since we've spawned the Hellkite Drake, we now have to deal with the Hellkite Drake. So yeah, that's the method I used to use to farm souls way back in the day. I am curious to see how well we're going to be able to deal with this. But let's give it a shot. Not a good start. I think in order to get it... In order to get it to come down, you need to shoot it with an arrow or something? Certainly not the most handsome Drake in the world. Like, how do they eat with a mouth like that? It's a good thing that this set has a fair bit of fire resistance. Otherwise, yeah, we'd be dead right now. Well, there goes the power within that we used. Oh, there we go. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, I thought this was going to be so easy. Oh, we found the sweet spot. Oh, gosh, darn it. No! No, my gosh. I was trying to use my Estus there. I thought this was going to be so easy. I was convinced of it, that it was going to be so easy. That it would take like 5 minutes to kill Hellkite. Oh my gosh, it's... That shows how long it's been since I've actually fought Hellkite straight up. Alright, well, I guess with that anticlimax out of the way, I think we're going to call it an episode there, because, again, I intended to have this episode done and recorded about half an hour ago, so we're a little bit over time. As I mentioned, we were legislated back to work this week, making our strike the longest by far in post-secondary Canadian history. And things are very messy in terms of the remediation plans and everything that's happening, so it's going to be a crazy period for me, and I hope you all have patience with me if it takes a little bit longer to finish the series and before we start returning to work on the next episode of Let's Talk Lore. But I'm trying to get all this done as quickly as I can without also going crazy in the process, so I hope you all understand. But it has been an absolute pleasure, as always. So, thank you all very, very much for joining us. and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.